Hey, good morning, Facebook. It's Charlie King and from Heroic Fatherhood. Hey, I wanted to share with you guys, if you guys are coming in after the fact and you're reviewing this because you were at work or your life was, you actually had a life outside of living on Facebook, thanks for coming in as well. Make sure to put your comments in down below, even though you weren't here live, because I review the comments after the fact. And given that we're in the middle of the Be My Boss 90-day challenge, where I invite people to give me topics, challenges that you have about being a parent, I want to make sure that you know that even if you're reviewing this after the fact, I review all the notes and I take all those comments in, and those are some of the ones that we use as seeds for the 90-day topics. We have been having so much fun. We're in the new year. I'm super excited about the new year. Things seem to be going great. It's got to be better than 2016 was. And there's a lot of great things happening, but it's also a super stressful time of year. There's a big meme going on right now that this week included Blue Monday, which is considered the day when people are having the hardest time of the year, as phone calls to suicide prevention hotlines, as rates of suicide and suicide attempts are in the year, that January is the toughest time for folks to be a part of that. Hey, Jeff, welcome on in. Thanks for coming to join us. So here's what I want to share with you is we're all got massive lives, right? If you're a parent, if you're just a parent, if you're a parent and do nothing else, not just a parent, but if you're a parent and do nothing else, that can be a full-time job. That can be absolutely overwhelming without any requirement of doing anything else. And I don't know anyone who's a parent who doesn't do anything other than parent. Every parent I know has multiple roles that they play in their lives, right? Like as adults, we have them, whether it's we clean our house, we're the cook, we're the cleaner, we're the laundry doer, and it doesn't matter what gender you are. Thank goodness for gender equality. Dads get to do that stuff too, whether we're fixing the house, whether we're changing the oil, whether we're managing doctor's appointments or vehicle maintenance or whatever else it is. We have tons of roles, and that's even outside of working outside of the home or volunteer work or service work or wherever we go. And it can seem like so much. It can seem like so much. You know, my favorite analogy of late has been, it's really like a teapot. It's really like a teapot, right? Like you fill your teapot with water. Your water really is about, you know, it's about the energy you have in a day. It's like the bandwidth you have in a day. And it's like nice and cool when your teapot's nice and full. And you go put it on the stove and it's like, look at this, we've got all this bandwidth. We can do so much in our day and I'm gonna get tons of things done. I'm gonna accomplish a bunch. I'm gonna be super excited about how things are going. And I'm gonna talk to these people. It's gonna be a great day. And we go and like if you're somebody who is out in the world, you're probably giving the best you know how to everything you do. You're giving the best to your work, you're giving the best to your kids, you're giving your best to your service work, you're giving your best to your friends, you're giving your best everywhere you go. And that always takes a little bit of the bandwidth. A little bit of everything that we do takes a little bit of the bandwidth that we have allotted for our day. And as much as we stretch it, and as an A-type personality, we like to stretch it a little bit, like to make it a little bigger if we can. We like to stretch it. We like to see how much more can I get done? How much bigger can I make it? How much more, like, can I get that extra thing done? Because if I do, that'll really make my day. And what it does is this teapot sits on the stove and the heat gets turned on. And we start to notice the heat after a little while. We're like, oh, that phone call didn't go the way I wanted. Or that email didn't really jive the way I was hoping it would. Oh, that meeting took a lot longer and was full of emotional turmoil. Or we just got a call from the mechanic and that's $1,000 bill to repair our car. So all of those things take up a little bit of our bandwidth. And the teapot sitting on the stove is getting warmer. It's getting a little warmer in here now. And that's what happens. That's what happens throughout our day. And we do our very best. And we're like giving it all every day, all day. Often, however, we forget when we think about like, I'm giving my bandwidth, I'm giving it all to my day. How often is it sometimes that we give all of our bandwidth before we get home, right? Or we give all of our bandwidth right up until 8 p.m. and then we're just done and we didn't even see it coming, right? Like our bandwidth is only so large and we can only do so much in a given day. And very often when we get home, we've given up most of our bandwidth. Or when we hit a certain hour and we're starting to get tired and we've done everything we know how to do, we start to just not have anything left anymore. And that's when we're at the most risk of boiling over, where our teapot's like, oh, okay, now we're boiled over. And we end up unleashing it, unfortunately, on the people around us. And if it's the end of the day, it's often on our families, whether it's on our spouse or our kids. And funnily enough, very often, especially for the kids, they don't have a framework to understand, why did Dad just completely lose it on me? And they don't have the context called, you don't understand, a coworker just got fired, another coworker is out ill, my boss yelled at me and then doubled down on the amount of work I have to do. We just got a bill over this. I just found out something's going on, with my sibling, and there's a problem there. They can't see all the stuff that we have going on in their lives. And all they're present to is the fact that we just absolutely blew up at them. And even if we apologize, they get that we apologized, but they don't actually see what's going on behind the scenes that caused all of the upset that ended up with the explosion. So there's like two things in this. Like, one is, we're never not going to lose our cool sometimes. Like, sometimes it's like, I think I'm managing it. It's been a heck of a long day, but I'm all right. And and then child number one comes in and makes that thing they promised they would do 5 times. And you said how important it was and how it was really critical they did it. And they agreed with you and they said they'd do it 5 times and they didn't do it. And they come in and tell you that when you weren't expecting it and you're sort of towards the end of your day, and you turn around and go, wow, and you emotionally just throw up all over them. Sometimes that happens. And sometimes, so there's the dealing with that sometimes when it happens. So that's one thing. The other thing is managing it so it doesn't happen more than it absolutely has to. So managing it so it doesn't happen any more than it absolutely has to has a lot to do with recognizing that you have this limited bandwidth. You have a limited bandwidth, and some of it, and like, your day doesn't end until the light turns out. And recognizing when something's taken up a lot of your energy. Like, I just went through a 2-hour meeting where we were told the budget had to be cut, our production had to go up, and other things have to happen. And later today, I have another meeting with the boss. They want to talk about something else that they want to add to my plate. And I've got like 45 minutes in here, and I'm supposed to do 12 different emails that I could be doing. Well, got it. It might be, if that meeting took a bunch out and you know you've got more coming, it might be best that you take that 45 minutes and do something else. Whether that's go for a walk, call your spouse, call a friend, go take yourself for a cup of coffee, listen to a funny podcast, do something that takes you out of the realm and actually serves you. Because it's kind of predictable that if we have this limited bandwidth, if we give it all away, at some point, we're going to hit the end of our bandwidth. And that's often when we say those things we don't want to say, or we do things like get sick, or we get hurt, or something happens untoward that completely takes us out. How often do you see entrepreneurs, business owners, or people under a lot of emotional stress get sick, and then they're out for a week with the flu, and they don't know why they get the flu? And it's kind of predictable. It's predictable because what showed up was that their bandwidth was completely taken up and they didn't take it easy. So part of it, again, is just recognizing that we only have so much bandwidth. And sometimes you just got to go, hey, I know I said I'd do that stuff today, but it looks like I'm just not going to be able to. And I'm totally sorry about that. I promised to get to it by the end of the week, but it's just not going to happen today. Because what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves and we're investing in our ability to stay in the game. You don't win the game in any one day. The game is it's all about staying in the game. Can we stay in the game? Can I do what I can do today, even if it's not as much as yesterday, even if it's not as much as other people do, even if it's not what I was hoping I would do, but it's enough so that tomorrow I can be back in the game. So that's really part of it, right? The first part of it is really managing ourselves so that the teapot doesn't blow up, so we don't emotionally throw up over our spouses or our loved ones or our kids. And yet sometimes that happens. So here's the key to making sure that it doesn't have the impact that it did. Like when it would happen in my house, there was a huge amount of confusion on my part because I was the recipient of a huge amount of upset. And very often I got an apology, but without an understanding of what happened. All I know is I got thrown up on and they're sorry, but why are you so upset? Because I ran a Hot Wheels car down the stairs. Part of it is recognizing when we've actually gone a place we didn't want to go and acknowledging it. I often talk about this with clients about walking out of the room and walking back in again. Sometimes we say something which we really did not mean, and we're not right in that moment in a space to be able to go, ooh, I wish I hadn't said that. I get up, I walk out of the room, and I take several breaths. I may even go outside and walk around for a couple of minutes, and then I come back in and I apologize. And I try and do it as soon as I recognize that I've done something that I didn't want to do. And I come back in, I sit down and I go, I apologize. What I said to you was absolutely not what I intended, but it is what I said. And I actually want to tell you why what I said was not okay. Why I said what I said was not okay. And here's why it wasn't okay. And I would never want you to speak to another adult or me or another child like that. And I am so sorry, you didn't deserve it. So that's part of it, right? Like really owning your side of the street. The other piece is sharing with them what's going on. You don't have to give them all the details. Give them age-appropriate details. Like, I'm so sorry. What you guys can't see is that I have a lot going on at work right now. There are lots of changes at work that mean that I'm going to take on some more work than I'm expecting, and that there's some of the resources that I usually have to help me, and which are people, aren't available to me anymore. And there's some upset at this company right now, and I'm not sure what's going to come next. And I don't know what that means yet, and everything's going to be okay, but it's a lot right now for me. And I just want you to know what's going on, because it's been this way for a little bit, and it's going to be like this until it is. And it's going to be fine, but giving them some insight about your side of the street invites them in as partners, invites them in to have some compassion for you, and invites them to understanding where they go, hey, you know what? Dad's having a kind of a hard time. You remember how he shared he was having kind of a hard time? So let's not go thundering up and down the hallway upstairs at 9 o'clock at night when we're supposed to be in the shower. Let's just go take showers, and Dad will, be much more fun another day. So that's what I have for you today. This has been Charlie King with Heroic Fatherhood. Quick reminder, go to www.heroicfatherhood.com to pick up your free Hero's Guide to Fatherhood. And did you know we have a Facebook page? It's called Heroic Fatherhood. You can search that in the search bar and go over there and like that, and you will start seeing lots more content, including archived Facebook Live videos up in there. And feel free to post below with any comments that you have about this video or ideas about the 90-day Be My Boss Challenge. What would you like me to address? What would you like me to talk about? What are the things you struggle with? What are the things that would make the biggest difference for you to hear me address from a fatherhood standpoint? Again, this has been Charlie King with Heroic Fatherhood. I will see you guys next week. Take care.